Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Adam. I think from now on I'm just going to announce everybody as hello captains because we all enjoy our flying, and I'm just going to announce everybody as a captain from now on. So I'm going to change my settings. I've been flying so far in the previous videos with all the default settings here. All the display and everything has been default. Now I'm going to try and do it from memory, but I don't have the P3D config file, but oh, actually I might have somewhere. I'll have to search that out. But I do have my memory, so I'm going to do it from memory. And one thing I'm going to change is this pause on task switch, because one thing I find irritating is when I click on something else, the sim stops. So you know, it just sort of pauses everything, and it kind of takes me out of it. And when I'm clicking on another screen, I don't want it to pause, so I'm going to uncheck that. Everything else really, I think I'm just going to leave as is really. I can't. All this here looks fine. I've changed screenshot format from JPEG to PNG. I like the lossless format. Oh, actually, one thing I want to address real quick, which is what I should have addressed in the previous video, and that was Chaseplane. When I installed Chaseplane and I first loaded it up, it would not load in the sim, and I was like, oh dear. And this was before I'd started the recording. I tested it first because I wanted to make sure it worked, but it didn't work. So I googled it, and I found out that when you freshly install Chaseplane, you must activate Chaseplane by starting it first. So you go into your menu, you go to Chaseplane, and you start it up, and you give it the authorization control to start. Then it will start automatically with P3D every time. It's that first time you've got to start it yourself, and then you're okay. So that's just a little bit of cleanup from the last video. So here, I do like to have all these, like the manufacturer, the model, the distance and the altitude. I do like them labels on the vehicles. It helps me to see where they are as well. So I keep that on. I keep all this pretty much open as well. Pilot, voice. Let's go with a female this time. I used to have a male, but let's try female. All that I keep the same. There's not much I change here. My sound, voice playback, I mean default communications is fine. I do like to have a little bit more on the engines and a little bit more on the environment for immersion. I boost up that by 55 because obviously you want to hear things. Other than that, that's fine. Traffic, so airline density, I think I had a 55%, and general aviation 30%. Air vehicle density just low. Road vehicles about 16%, I think it was. Ships and ferries about 10%, and leisure boats 5%. Obviously I'm impacting my frames with every slider I do. So we want to realism, complete realism here. All that definitely realistic. We don't want unlimited fuel, and we don't want an auto mixture. We want the engine stress causes damage to the engine, yes, and we want to visualize G effects and momentum effects. We don't want to use auto rudder. Ignore avatar collision. No, I don't like to use that because I want to actually, if it's going to crash, I want to see the crash, and it to end the sim. So that's fine. Display. Now here we go. I have a 4K TV, so that's what my native resolution is on the video card to the TV. So that's what we use. And that's what I use, the GeForce GTX 1080. I leave these on and I leave this on 2, I have found that the higher you go, the blurrier everything sort of gets. So I leave that on that. I leave that on 4. Or is it 16? I'm going to put 4 for now. Sorry, I turned that off. FXAA. I turned that off because I use 4K textures, so I don't need anti-aliasing. So I turn that off, which really redundancies that. I target my frame rates for unlimited. I turn VSync on. Wide view aspect ratio. World, I basically put everything up to max. Just because I simply can. The only one thing I don't have on max is the draw distance, which we'll keep on medium, I guess, or yeah. But everything else, that can go to dense, actually, or very dense. Buildings, again, that will be very dense. Special effects detail, medium, that's fine. Reflections on the clouds, yes. The our vehicle, yes. Don't really need reflections on everything else. We don't want to enable bathymetry unless we're going and doing a submarine mission, in which case I will tick that. This can be left on medium for now. The more special effects you add, you know, the thingy it gets. But I think I remember reading somewhere that it does, these two don't really have that much of an effect on your frames, but we're just going to leave them on medium for now. So we use maximum level of detail radius, we use ultra tessellation factor. I don't even actually know what that means, but we're using ultra. Our mesh resolution is 1 meter, which I'm going to be installing FS Global Ultimate on the next video, so we'll be able to see the difference between what we're going to have now and that. Texture resolution 7 centimeters. I think some people have said 30 centimeters is adequate, but some sceneries now are using 7, so I want to be able to support that. The Autogen draw distance, you know, save your frames. I don't have it, you know, or going off loads into the distance. Lighting, enable HDR lighting. I can't remember if I do. Yes, I do. I can't remember the settings. I have these set at a particular setting, and I'll come back to that one when I remember. We keep reflections off for now. We'll keep these off, but I might change these once I look at my P3D file and update this, and I'll let you know when I do. Draw distance, shadows, low, quality, low. And these, I do have a particular selection on these, but I can't remember now. So shadows, I do want to see terrain shadows and cloud shadows. Casting on the ground, I think it looks better. Buildings, yes, I think we do want to see that. And I'm just going to leave the rest because I'm not too sure. Weather, I always have that set to 60 miles. Medium cloud, I think, is fine. And that's basically it. So that is everything I change. I mean, I could put that to microphone, actually. I don't think it's going to affect the recording. Voice playback is speakers, as is that primary. So yeah, so we've changed quite a bit from the default to this. So it's going to be interesting now to see how it affects. If I do, I know this is going to change this section here, and when I do change it, I will update the video. So now that we've done that, it's 10:30. We'll go back to our, oh hello, that's changed now. We've got a new thingy. What was the Hang on a second. Load P3D default. This is going to load in the default plane as well. We're going to have to change the plane, I think. But it should load in the default scenery, that airport. We want to go back to that airport. Yeah, it's loaded in the... Let's reset that. So let's change the vehicle. Put that in. Let's check where we are. Go to airports. Yep, there we are. Eglin. That's good. We want to be in Eglin. Let's start the engine up. For some reason, my camera system has been reset. I always have my zoom on my camera. Where is it? Set to 35. So for some reason, it's changed it. I don't know why it's done that. So move that forward. Make sure actually. There we go. So that's the position, but it should be 0.35. And we have to move that forward. Move that up slightly. Which means that comes back. And there we go. That, to me, is better. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it's done that. That was weird. So let's just double check here. Yeah. We need to update our preset for the pilot. I hope it's not gonna... It's changed the zoom on all of that as well. So we need to... I need to go back and adjust all the zoom for everything here. Right, I'm not going to do it now because you guys... Oh, go on then, I will do it now actually. It's only a case of 0.35 and then forwarding in on that. Oops, a bit too much there. There we go. And that one was the left view. Then we've got the right view. 0.35. See, the thing is, if I don't have all my camera presets the same, you know, the same zoom, then the that's the right view. Then the scenery is just going to look weird. Every time I change, it's going to alter it, and also it's going to play with my frames a little bit as well. I do like to have that one a bit more zoomed in because it's more of a passenger sort of almost. You know, it's not a flying pilot, so I can afford to have that. This one might be okay with the... I think it's obviously because I've changed the wide view aspect. That needs to go down a bit. So I know that's the reason, but let's change that there. And it's just this is personal preference, isn't it? You know, everyone's going to have their own personal preference. So for me, this is just mine, the way I fly, the way I like to fly. Instruments, behind. The outside ones I think are going to be fine because they don't use the same preset. So I think we'll be fine on that. Right. Rock and roll. So let's just quickly. Yep. So let's check it out. So the difference in the settings that I've just made. I mean, to be honest, things look a little bit crisper, a little bit sharper, I must say. A little bit more detail in the trees and the plane, the texturing for me. There's more detail. There's a lot of jaggies, which I could sort out by upping the MMS, whatever it's called. The, what is it? It's called the anti-MMSA, whatever. But what I found is it just blurs things, so it doesn't actually solve that anti-aliasing thing. And turning that on really decreases performance. And really, you don't need a decrease in performance, really. You don't need anti-aliasing if I'm using 4K textures. My frame rates have gone right down to 30 though, and they were 120 before, so this has decreased my performance of frame rates considerably. Which, okay, we might have to look at that as I get to start adding more stuff in, but to be honest, the computer that I've got I know can handle all the add-ons because, well, I've done it before. So this is just the way I like to fly. I do like that view. Okay, so let's take off, park and brake release, and see what it looks like now from the air using all these other things. I must say, yeah, the airport, the scenery does look a lot better so far. It does, for me, it looks a lot better. We have lost a lot of frames per second though. Our frames have gone right down, so right. So if takeoff is fine, bring up the flaps. Always check my flaps. 3. Remember that. There we go. So in fact, this time we're going to do a circuit. We're going to loop-de-loop rounds just so we can see some of the scenery first. Textures look very blocky, you know. They look very blurry as well. I mean, this is default textures, but the roads, now things look clearer. You know, the buildings look clearer, the roads layout looks a lot better, things look sharper, look more defined. I must say, yeah, I do enjoy the look. Look at the crisp detail on that panel now. That stands out. The texturing on the side there, all this texturing here stands out. That cracking on the leather, that looks really nice. Let's trim this sucker down now. In fact, we're not going to do this circuit thing. We're just going to fly and land again. Whoa. Water actually looks a lot better, I think. The colors of the water look a lot better. You can see the reflections here from the clouds. Clouds, I'm sure, probably look a little bit better as well. Don't know, really. Yeah, they look okay. Water definitely has improved. Right, where's that one? There's airports everywhere. Airport over there that we just took off from. You can see one ahead in the corner there of the screen here. And then of course the one that we're going to be flying to, which is this one here. Which we're going to be turning to meet soon. So, start my turn. Yeah, I do. I think the sim has improved just by putting these settings in, and I haven't even like finished playing with the HDR settings. Oh, we just landed that one there. That's the one. Just get it a bit more lined up before we come in. First array of flaps down. Coming in for landing. A bit too high. A lot of flaps can go down. Really high, actually. Let's do a quick dive. See, look at the ground textures. They're loading in slower, but they do look a lot better. Like, they look more detailed. Things look clearer. Definitely look clearer. Quite fast, but we'll still make the runway. Okay, yeah, we have lost a lot of frames, you know, 30 frames per second, but for me, the visual trade-off, as long as it doesn't go below 25 or 24, that to me is the main thing. Okay, it's coming in nicely. So we're averaging, I reckon, 25 frames a second, which is perfect for me. That's the type of one I like. It's good enough, you know, for me. I don't need 60 frames per second. It's still a smooth sim. It's still, for me, everything's still running smooth. We're not going to make the runway here. So stalled, have a little more power. That's what happens when you're not concentrating. Stall out the plane. Okay, we're just going to land this sucker now. We're a bit too off the runway, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we're stalling either. There we go. So yeah, the sim's looking okay. We will change the flight now. We will go check out the Grand Canyon. I think we do need to actually see the Grand Canyon, because for the next video we're gonna be, so we need where is it, Grand Canyon. We want to see the difference when I add in the mesh. There's a load of mesh I'm going to add in, and I want to see the difference. So National Park was the one we took off from before. So let's do the same now, and we'll be able to see as well what the Grand Canyon does to our frames, because Florida, which is where Eglin is, really lowers the frames. Yeah, we're doing okay with frames now. Here we go. It might take a little while actually to get to the Grand Canyon in this type of plane. I just realized. So, and then we'll go to Dfw Airport after this. Back, pull back, pull back. Can't pull back. What's going on? Have I lost control or something? Have I lost? Nope. There we go. I was doing it too early. I thought my yoke had gone again. Then. Whoa, 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 whoa. We're stalling, we're stalling, we're stalling. Let's just, gosh. What's going on here, man? My flaps up. Flaps are white. What's going on with the flaps there? Let's bring them flaps up a little bit, eh? Whoa! What's going going on there? What happened? I think I just rushed that a bit. Right. Let's start that one again. It's also high altitude as well. We're at different altitude. So I think I crashed it because I was too keen to get it off the ground. Oh, hello. We're back in the fighter jet for some reason. That's a bit strange. There we go. Are we also back in, where are we? The Grand Canyon we want to be in. It's taken us completely back. Grand Canyon, thank you very much. Sorry. Right. Start this plane up. Release the brakes. Full throttle. See, my flaps were set was way too high. Now it's not. So, just looking now, this is Grand Canyon. I can see that there are a lot more trees. And I can see that it's a little bit more detailed. It looks a lot better just straight off the bat from this runway perspective. Right, let's take off. Not too much. Let's push that nose down a bit. We're going to have to gradually take off here because we're at high altitude. Flaps up a little bit until we get a bit higher. So yeah, looking around, definitely it looks straight away a lot different. Oh, look at that, there's big mountains over there. Big mountains over there. Right, let's 7,000 feet here. Let's do a turn and bring up the flaps. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, stall, recover. Gosh. These planes don't like this altitude, do they? Bring up the flaps. We need to go 270. Oh gosh, man. So finicky to fly at this high altitude. So this is the difference here. Whoa. There's a difference here between flying a fighter jet and this trainer. Gosh. I've got a small window to turns. Gosh. We need to fly 270 to get to the Grand Canyon. So we need to fly west. It does look a lot better. I haven't even added any scenery in. There's hills over there I can see. I'm very keen to see what the actual thingy looks like. The actual Grand Canyon. Very interested. Right. I'll do 270. So the Grand Canyon is yonder. My frames are averaging around 30, I reckon, maybe 28. So we're still on a smooth one. If I go outside 30-ish, you know. I wonder if I turn VSync off. Let's just see what happens if I turn VSync off, because it was off before. So let's see what happens. I don't think it requires a thingy. Syncs the frame rate to monitors refresh rate. So let's see what happens. Whoa! Our frames just doubled there. Up to like 60. So, gosh. There's health points here. That's mad. Right, we're still climbing. Let's trim down a little bit. some speed up. I don't know where these this thing is. Grand Canyon seems to be over there, to be honest. I mean, I was flying 270 when I got to the Grand Canyon before. I can see the Grand Canyon over there, but it wouldn't have been the same Grand Canyon that we flew over. But we're going to go over that way, to be honest, because it's closer. So. Let's see what it looks like. So turning VSync off, it doesn't match it to the monitor's refresh rate. I've doubled my frames by turning it on. I guess it locks in the frame rate to your telly, which is 30 frames. I don't know. No. I get better frames by having it off. And there's no screen tearing. You know, if I do this, there's no screen tearing, is there? Doing that by changing viewpoints, no screen tearing, which is where the most majority of it would come. So I think VSync, I'm just going to leave off. I mean, just looking at this already, the landscape looks a lot better. You know? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but over here, I didn't notice any of this when we were flying over with the jet. I mean, technically, I think we flew over here, so that's probably why. But I just want to see the definition shape, really, of the. Just want to see the definition shape of the land, and see, and that's really it. Flaps are fully up. Yeah. Texture, like in terms of the actual textures themselves, it still looks. I mean, that looks just like green blobs on the ground. It still looks a little bit pants, you know. But there's more detail, there's more objects placed in, you know. It looks a lot better already for the small tweaks I have done to the settings. Everything looks a lot better. The plane itself even looks a lot better, I think, you know. You can really see the dirty texture of the plane on the wing here. Really see every little rivet, more so than you can before. Right, here we go. Let's turn a little bit. See, I can already see a difference from approaching it. They seem to be more defined peaks. Averaging out about 60 frames, I reckon, maybe 70. It's jumping a lot. Do we get more frames outside? Slightly less. Pilots to the co-pilot. Slightly more the pilot, the co-pilot side, I reckon. So let's just point downwards a bit. Keep the RPMs. I need to mixture of it. Is that still working? Mixture. Right, so yeah, I mean, it's, you can see definitely a difference in the detail of the rock face there. The ground actually goes, I mean, there's more ridges here. More ridges here than there were before. it's a lot more detail, a lot more. It's although it's still, I don't think it's still accurate. It's because there is no river running through here, or there's no bottom basically. So I still don't think it's 100% accurate, but it's a lot better than the previous video. In the previous flight we did, I feel it's a lot better still. It's a bit tight in here, isn't it? Yeah, oh, there's a small little river down there, just at the bottom there. So there is a small little river. I wouldn't say this is as impressive as it could be though. So let's end that scenario now, and let's go to Dfw Airport, and let's see what that looks like. Dfw, bring that in. Same time as it is now, which is about 10:30, I think. So I'm trying to drink a cup of tea here at the same time. Right. Here we are. Dfw Airport. Let's take off and see what we got. Oh, hello, Delta. Look at that. Buildings look a lot better. Look at this. A lot better. Everything looks a lot better. I mean, that almost looks like payware. The runways look a lot better. Just the world looks better. And there's aircraft now as well. Gosh, look at that. Right, let's take off. This thing is flying. Look at that. That looks a lot better. Default DFW, I must say, is pretty good. Like, I'm going to be very interested in seeing DFW imported now. The difference between this and the payware version of it. Flaps up. Hang on, we don't need to do the mixture yet. Yeah. Look at that. It's buildings in the background now. Look at that. My gosh. Buildings. Frame rate has taken a big chunk. Let's make sure that that thingy is still off. Yep, that's still off. Triple buffer. We don't need to triple buffer, do we? Yeah. Yeah, frames have gone down because we're in DFW, I suppose. We're in a highly populated, densely done area. That airport's not too bad, to be honest. Look at that default plane there. It's clickable there. That's the window. Let's have a quick fly around. And then we'll nip over to England and see what that looks like. There's traffic there. At the end of the motorway by the looks of it there. I don't know, suddenly the motorway ends. There's a hub here of some sorts. It's a little bit jumpy. I have sensed that. But that's probably because we're flying over a big thingy airport and our frames have gone down, but it's still acceptable for me. The sim, it's a little, yeah, it's getting a bit choppy. Look at that. That is a little bit choppy. Now, if I was to turn the VSync on again our frames go down, it's still a little bit choppy. Actually, our frames haven't actually done that much, to be honest. Frames haven't done anything. What does triple buffering do? If we click on that. May increase performance, slight input lag. Try that. Slight, yeah. There is an input lag a little bit. But yeah, it's not as choppy now. Our frames are jumping all over the place though. So I'm going to go back and turn off the VSync and keep that off. I feel like that is better for me. Oh, I don't know actually, it is very choppy here. I'm wondering if it's because obviously we're over DFW still. Once we get out of that area, I wonder if our frames will increase, because Texas is just very heavy in its it's very flat land, so it's got lots of this and that on it. So, yeah, I mean, for me this is still good. I'm happy still, except for my trimming ability. This is fine. It is a little bit jumpy there, a little bit. Yeah, it is a little bit. Let's see now what the UK one looks like. It could also be because I'm hopping from scenery to scenery. It could also be that. Birmingham. It's now 11 o'clock. So basically I've been making these videos in batches, so I'm going to be doing about 10 videos today. But I'm only going to be putting them on YouTube every once in a while, so that's why the time-wise. So frames, yeah, still the same, really, aren't they? About 30 frames. Things are still loading in by the looks of it as well. This does look a lot better though. Yeah, everything looks a lot better. Just the minor tweak. That has made a massive difference. Flaps up. Flaps are already up by the looks of it. Oops. Yeah, massive difference that's made. Look at all the detail now in everything. There's a lot more trees. There's a lot more buildings. There's just a lot more of everything, really. Than there was before. Let's see Birmingham from the sky. We're gonna have to get up to like 5,000 feet, I reckon, to see what it looks like. I mean, this just looking out this side window here, it feels a lot more Birmingham-y than it did before. So if there's any questions, if you guys got any questions that you want to ask, please ask them. I'll address them in each video, but I'll do a Q&A as well video. So if you guys are having any problems, if you guys are having any issues, just simply let me know. I'll do my best to help you out. I've been flight simming now for 15 years. I've been doing it properly more for training though in the last 2 years, and I'd say in the last 12 months I've gone serious in terms of my hardware and my software. It is a little bit choppy now, isn't it? Jumpy, isn't it? I don't know, maybe VSync should go on, to be honest. Because we're getting very similar frame rates when VSync and triple buffering is on than when it's turned off. It's very choppy, it's very stuttery almost. Oop, a little bit windy. Whoa, gosh. Bit of rudder control, I think. Jeez, it's gone really windy for some reason. Whoa. Yeah. Airport. I mean, it still looks a little bit iffy, I'd say, to be honest. Yeah. See the clouds on the ground reflected up. In the next video, I'm going to... originally, I was going to put in FS Global Ultimate, which changes the landscape. So when we go to Grand Canyon, it should look a lot more defined. Flying over England, you'll probably see a bit more lumps and bumps. I don't know if Dfw Airport will actually have any effect, but Florida should also have effects. So hopefully it's not going to affect our frame rates. Right now I'm averaging, I reckon, about 38 to clean that sucker out. I mean, this one looks okay, you know. It's a lot more detailed than our original flight to Birmingham when the settings were the default settings. There's a lot more detailed. You lose a lot of performance in the frames, but me personally, I'm happy with 25 frames a second. That for me is good. I don't need to see off into that far of the distance, which is why here there's a line of where things aren't loading, because I don't think you would see all these buildings like that far from the distance. So you probably wouldn't even see that far. I mean, I probably could bring in the radius like one more, I think. Here where we have Autogen draw distance, I could probably bring that into low. Maybe not, I don't know. And you can see more of that, but I don't know actually. It does really help the frames, but the flying experience, yeah, it's not too bad actually. It looks okay. It's doubled, it's not doubled, but it's added a good 10-15 frames. But I don't know. I mean, here, before the buildings and that went out to about here. Now they don't. And I don't know. I just I think I might leave that actually. I think that looks alright. What else if we played with, let's have a look here, what else if we played with the world? So my Autogen draw distance is really low. I mean, if I was to put that really high and go back, oh look at it, it's loading in very slowly now. Gosh. That's really slow now compared to before. So I guess that's what happens when you put in loaded in a lot. My frames have gone right down as well. Oh my gosh. So that goes off for miles. Oh my life. That is a big difference actually. How many frames have recovered actually? They're back up to 30-ish. You know. But for me that's overkill values. I don't think I need that much. It doesn't really look at it as effective in here for me. So I think the draw distance, like, to have on low. Look how quickly it loads when it's on low. And for me, no, actually, see even that there looks a bit, just all looks a bit flat, really. My frames shoot right up. Maybe there's something to be said for having low draw distance. I mean, buildings, you wouldn't see buildings off that far into this, I'm sure, would you? In real life, you know? So I've even having it on the next setting, which is medium. See, the thing I try to achieve with my sim is just realism. Tell you what, actually, let's pause the sim here. We can see these buildings here, okay? This looks fine to me, right? What happens now when I drop that to low? Do them buildings disappear? Yes, they do. Right, so it needs to be on medium for me. Because you would see them buildings. And it still loads relatively fast to me, but you would see these buildings down there. So that is acceptable. What else we got? Let's put that at these two very high, like extremely dense. Water detail, ultra. What does that do for frames? Slows the loading down a little. Oh my gosh. What happened to, oh there we go, it's loading it in still. There's a lot more buildings here, definitely. It actually seems to have increased my frames by increasing the buildings and the water level detail. That has gone up, I'm sure. So that was about 45, 50 frames that was. Put that on medium. And these both were on dense, I think. It loads faster when you lower them. Yeah, my frames have dropped slightly. It kind of does look the same, to be honest. I don't really see much of a difference. So I think I'm going to be boosting them up to extremely dense, and high, or ultra. Well, actually, that's probably low. Yeah, that's a bit. But yeah, it's actually the frames are about the same. Well, maybe right. What happens now when I just the special effects details go up crazily high? Nothing happens to my frames. Right. See, that looks fine for me. That looks fine. Right. So, there we go. I don't know where the airports are. There's no point in landing it. I ain't got a clue where we are. So, I'm going to say that that's the video for today. In the next video, I'm going to add in PTA Assistant and Ultimate Realism Pack. So this is what the UK looks like with default shaders. Now I'm going to change the shaders, and I'll be using the tomato shade shader, and we'll see what the difference is. So thanks for watching. As always, leave me your comments and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.